In the mood to punch, kick and knock the daylight out of a bunch of wicked thugs? If the answer is yes, then play Streets of Rage, because this is a pile of fucking shit. Let's have a little look anyway. In the late 80s, Sega were making as many arcade titles as they could, and Last Battle was their next arcade-style beat-em-up. This was a name change from Fist of the North Star, but I'll be referring to the Last Battle conversion throughout. You are Arzak, a warrior with special martial arts powers, and this is a power where the warrior can pinpoint the weakest part of the body and kill them with one hit, sending them flying off the screen. Where the hell do they go? You're on a mission to rescue Alyssa, who has been held captive, and so the bullshit unravels. You can compare this to Altered Beast, as it's a side-scrolling beat-em-up with a guy that loses his shirt when he powers up. And the buttons are mapped the same. You have a jump button, and punch and kick are on two separate buttons. You have your life meter at the bottom of the screen as well as your power meter. These can extend through the game when you meet some of your allies. Your power will activate during a level, enabling your character to rapidly punch and kick. The enemies are very basic and some just look ridiculous in the way they walk. Some will have weapons that they throw at you, and others may charge at you. There's no sense of combat skill here, as you can only punch or kick them. It's more a skill for timing your hits, and that gets old very quickly. The levels are very bleak, although there is parallax scrolling to break it up a bit, but they still look unfinished. And the palette is very limited to dull colours that make the scenery look very unattractive. Once you come to the end of a stage, you can choose a path from the overhead map. You either end up in a labyrinth, a boss fight, or another short stage. This isn't a bad idea, but when the game is pretty crap to begin with, there's no excitement for exploration. You know that the next stop is going to be as boring as the last, or more frustrating. The music isn't that great either, and the sound effects are okay, but I can't help think this would suit the Master System more than the Mega Drive. It almost feels like it's a port from the 8 to the 16-bit system. It's just a very stiff game. You can forgive it, I suppose, as a very early release, and all angles and limitations to the system hadn't been discovered, so it's just as basic as can be. Just like Super Thunderblade and Space Harrier 2, they were good arcade ports, but not really that great to play today. I think the biggest problem with this style of game is there's no freedom of movement around the screen like you'd get in Streets of Rage or the Turtles games. You are stuck on one plane, which is perfect if it's a platform game you're playing, but it isn't one, and that's the biggest flaw. Could you imagine how bad Streets of Rage and Golden Axe would be if you could only move left and right and nowhere else? You certainly wouldn't be calling them classics today. There's nothing else to say about this game really. Maybe there are people out there that love this game because of nostalgic reasons, and I get that. But for me, I never played this back then, and it just doesn't hold any ground. If you have never played this, then you may find that if you do, then your first time will more than likely be your last. Indeed, your last battle.
What?